Her voice, gentle yet piercing, delivered a familiar sting. "Please, not tonight." Those words, soft as they were, sliced through me, each syllable a quiet dagger wrapped in tenderness. Too many times, her refusals had shifted from weary excuses to a deeper rejection. Not just of my touch, but of the man I was, the one she'd once vowed to hold dear. In the muted glow of our bedroom, I sat staring into the darkness, wondering how much longer I could pretend our marriage was anything but a hollow shell. Then one night, her sister drew near, her eyes fixed on mine, and whispered something that unraveled my world. "What if I gave myself to you right now?" she murmured, and in that instant, everything I thought I knew tilted into chaos. Once my wife and I were bound by a love that felt unbreakable. Our days filled with shared laughter and whispered dreams. We roamed unfamiliar streets hand in hand, painting our future in vivid colors. But time dulled that spark, and tiny cracks widened into unbridgeable divides. Our conversations faded, our laughter died, and soon even the smallest gestures of warmth vanished. Our home became a silent wasteland, punctuated only by her recurring dismissals. "Not tonight." Each refusal carved a fresh wound, a reminder that the woman I'd sworn to build a life with was slipping away. I told myself it was just stress, the burdens of life weighing her down. But a quiet dread whispered that she'd emotionally abandoned me. Or worse, found comfort elsewhere. Those fears haunted my sleepless nights, leaving me caught in a web of doubt and unanswered questions. When her sister came to stay with us, it seemed harmless at first. A family emergency had brought her into our home, and I hoped her presence might lighten the oppressive quiet. In some ways it did. She filled the voids my wife left empty, noticed the things my wife ignored, and asked about my life when my wife no longer seemed to care. I didn't recognize the risk in those small acts of kindness until one night changed everything. After another soft rejection, I sat alone, feeling like a ghost in my own house, when her sister sat beside me. For the first time in months, someone looked at me as though I mattered. "You deserve more than this," she said quietly, her words cutting deep because I knew, in my heart, she was right, even if I hated to admit it. Then she leaned closer, her voice a dangerous whisper. "What if I gave myself to you right now?" My heart pounded, my hands shook, and my mind urged me to run. Yet my soul, aching for connection, begged to listen, to believe I wasn't invisible. For a brief, dizzying moment, I pictured giving in, soothing the pain of loneliness. But the weight of my vows, the promises I'd made, and the man I wanted to be surged forward, stronger than any temptation. Trembling, I stood and told her to stop, that this was wrong. She gave me a look, half pity, half defiance, before leaving me alone in a storm of guilt and relief. That night, sleep was impossible, my thoughts trapped in a cycle of her whisper, my wife's distance, and my own near betrayal. I knew I couldn't keep living in this limbo, pretending to be a husband when I felt like a stranger in my own life. So the next morning, I gathered the courage I'd buried for months and sat my wife down. With raw honesty, not bitterness, I poured out everything. I told her I saw her withdrawal, that her constant rejections had chipped away at me. I admitted what her sister had said, and I asked her plainly if she still wanted our marriage or if she'd already let it die. Her face grew pale, her eyes darted away, and then she spoke the truth I'd feared. She'd emotionally checked out long ago and had no desire to fight for us. Her words shattered me, crushing the last shards of hope, but they also set me free. I was no longer grasping at excuses or living in denial. I faced the stark truth. In that moment, I made my choice. I didn't lash out, didn't seek comfort in her sister's arms, didn't let anger guide me. Instead, I walked away with only my dignity and a broken heart. I realized then that revenge isn't always about striking back. Sometimes, the truest revenge is refusing to let betrayal define you, refusing to let rejection diminish you, and choosing to rise from the wreckage they left behind. The days that followed were heavy, the silence overwhelming, the emptiness echoing in every corner of my life. But slowly, I began to rebuild. I rediscovered pieces of myself lost in the shadows of neglect. I found strength in the quiet, peace in the truth, and a freedom I hadn't known in years. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for someone else to determine my worth. Looking back, I don't see a man shaped by rejection, I see a man who faced temptation and turned away, who confronted betrayal with honesty, who endured rejection and still stood tall. That choice became the foundation of the life I now live. One rooted in truth and self-respect, not lies or fleeting temptations. The greatest lesson I've carried forward is this. Those who are supposed to love you most can sometimes hurt you the deepest. But their actions don't have to define your worth. Rejection doesn't have to lead to ruin. You always have the power to rise, to rebuild, to reclaim your dignity. And that, more than any whispered temptation in the dark, is the essence of true strength. Perhaps that's the purest form of revenge. To live well, to stand firm, to choose yourself when others fail to choose you.